Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Devil's Advocate Trades Edition. This is kind of a fun one because it's by myself, so I don't need to go through the rigmarole, and Michael doesn't have a whole lot of editing to do, so that's nice. So there's lots of different things we can talk about. See how many little tirades I can go on about what's going on in the world. So there's one thing I do want to touch on, because being a construction consultant in Condo, you run into a lot of really interesting situations. See, my goal is to start with the condo and help them understand. But we're dealing with people, and people aren't always going to agree, or they're not going to understand your costs. And so I'm someone who always says, you pay for my experience, my knowledge, and how I expedite things, so my expediency, right? And my efficiency. So when I go out to a site and I go over everything, you get a same day report. You don't wait 3 days, you don't wait 2 weeks, you get the same day report of basically everything that I've seen, pictures that I've taken, what my professional opinion is moving forward, or how to move something forward, or if there's problems. So I have a fun story for all of you. I was out last week dealing with a few different things. And I'm going to tell you, it's interesting because everybody seems to forget that there are multiple levels of government. There is the federal, there's the provincial, and then there's a municipal, which means there's a municipal government, which is your city, that tells you what you can and can't do within the confines of the city. So a lot of people are like, well, what does that mean? Does that mean roads? Certain roads. Highways, federal. So because they're transportation. So there's just different things that people need to pay attention to. So here's the thing. Here's my story. I had a client that came and talked to me about this 50-year-old heritage tree in a very old neighborhood in Calgary. And this tree is causing massive havoc. The roots are inside the plumbing system. The plumbing system is failing. They're getting people out to try and cut out the roots or this and that, but this tree is protected. So how do they deal with this? And I'm like, well, that's fine. Just send the city the bill. And they're like, what? I don't want to just send the city the bill. If it's they have to reinforce their entire retaining wall. It's falling apart. It's horrible. This tree is causing a lot of havoc on their private property, which always blows my mind that the city's like, oh, that tree's ours. You can't do anything with it, but it's on private property. I always find that interesting, but I digress. So I explained to them that there are some things that they can do. And then they told me, well, they went ahead and they did this and the city's released the tree. And I'm like, of course the city's released the tree. There's a whole bunch of problems they should be paying for. And you've kind of just given them the okay not to have to pay for any of these things, even though they required you to keep that tree in good standing, pardon the pun, the entire time. So this is where I tell people there's a reason consultants exist, because it's our job to know how to deal with that. So now the city should be removing the tree, or should be covering some of the costs of the havoc that tree has caused based on the fact that it was a protected heritage tree. So this is where the boards are like, oh no, well, we got them to release the tree to us. And I'm like, how nice of you. Are they covering the cost of removal? No. Are they going to cover half the cost of removal? No. Well, why not? Well, I wouldn't know how to go about that. Ask. Well, they're like, well, we don't know what desks to put it on. Oh, I do. Me. So I always find it interesting. And then I sit there and I'm like, people are like, Lisa, it comes down to knowledge. But then at the same time, it is and it isn't. It's like everything to me is on some sort of design. Like as a city employee, not that I want to bash any city employees, but let's be realistic. A lot of city employees, if they're unionized, because management's not unionized, but if you're inside of the union for City of Calgary or any city, you tend to work at a certain pace that not the private sector is far surpasses you on. And a lot of times I've heard different things. I've heard people that work in the city, they're like, well, you can't surpass your managers, otherwise you make the management look bad, and then they get pissed off, and then you can, then you're up for, all these different problems, and then you can possibly get fired. But it is really hard to get fired in the city if you've been there for more than 3 months or more than a year. And I'm like, okay. And they're like, but there's some people who have this impeccable work ethic, and they're like, I can't work for the city because I almost feel lazy. And I'm like, oh, that's not good. To me, I think working for the city or working for government is goals, because it's and this is where everyone's going to kind of maybe have an opinion. It's goals to work for federal, provincial, or municipal government. Why? Because you're paid really well. And that's where this is where I kind of kick out and I say to myself, in the municipal aspect, they should have known that the fact that they had a heritage tree, they should have done something for the board to say, listen, we'll release that tree, we'll remove it. Or, you know what, we're sorry this has happened. Please send us a bill, and please send us a bill for the tree, and we'll cover half of it, and we'll cover the damage that's been occurred. Like, why wouldn't you just say that? Because you're the one who wants the private property to protect it. And why not? Because they want to save money, because the more money they have, the more money they can spend on whatever the hell else they think they can spend it on. Because half the time, I don't think everything gets mentioned inside of all of these agendas. Some people will say, oh no, we're very transparent. I disagree. I don't think things are as transparent as we would all like them to be. And then now with the provincial government being like, oh, well, we're going to be kind of transparent. If it's over this price, then we're going to show you what it is. No, I want to know how many times you get fucking gas, Danielle. Like, calm down. Show me your shit. Where are you getting a beer off of our fucking dime? So, like, and people are like, oh, well, I don't want to do that. And I'm like, I kind of want to see where you're spending our money. It's our money. Like, if we're being honest, if you're going to start making cuts everywhere, start cutting your salaries. They're like really high. And for a civil servant, you shouldn't be that high. Like, what do you do all day except run your gums? Like, come on. That's all you're doing is flapping your lips anyways. Why are we paying you guys so much? I don't care if you're federal government. I don't care if you're liberal. I don't care if you're fucking conservative. You shouldn't be paid that much. Pierre Poilievre is paid way too fucking much. I'm pretty sure the fucking prime minister is paid way too fucking much, but it is what it is. I digress. Like, I mean, everyone knows I'm open enough to say I'm a liberal, but am I happy about how much these people are being fucking paid? No. Because at the end of the day, when cuts are coming down the pipe, they're cutting the funding for all of us masses. And they're saying, oh, well, we don't want to do this and we don't want to do that. And we have to cut here and we have to. How many people are screaming for healthcare? How many people are screaming for teachers? People are screaming for fucking infrastructure. How many people are screaming for it? What about the Indigenous? Like, there's so many things where they decide to cut. Like, school is a big one, and education, school education and health are big ones. And then all the bullshit. And I mean, we're September. We're coming into truth and reconciliation. What fucking grandiose, narcissistic fucking bullshit are they going to pull with the Aboriginal people to be like, we're good? Which they're totally fucking hip to. They're like, yeah, fuck you. We'll take your shit, but go fuck yourself. Because that's pretty much what I'd be like. I'd be like, yeah, sure, we'll take that because you owed it to us fucking 2 years ago, but better late than never, I guess. And then it's ridiculous. So when it comes to government, I feel like there should be more transparency and they should be more honest, especially when they're making you hold on to something that is not, in my opinion, really theirs, especially if it's on private property. It's like, oh, well, we pay property tax. Well, can we get off of property tax because we have a heritage tree or we have a heritage fucking whatever you've decided to claim on our property? Does that mean we get out of property tax? That's where I think it kind of gets unfair, especially for corporations. These are all volunteer board members. So they're running multi-million-dollar properties all by their own, they don't have the knowledge to do it. You're running a company, basically. You're running a nonprofit company is what you're doing. And you're making big hundreds of $1,000s decisions for your property. And if you are not, you can be like, oh, I'm an engineer. Okay, but are you an engineer? What kind of engineer are you? Do you understand all the things that happen with a reserve fund and with corporation bylaws and with the act or with HOA or the Societies Act? Like, do you understand all of the legislation and what parameters you can work within? You might understand building structure. You might understand electrical. You might understand, where did you specialize? And that's one person, and one person is going to try and direct people into a direction where they can understand. But not everybody speaks engineer. I'm sorry to the engineers, but not all of you are super understandable. You're technical, intelligent people that not everybody's at your pace. You would have to use everything in layman's terms. And some of you are getting way better at it, but still, it almost feels beneath some of you to speak in layman's terms when you've got so much education and so much technical background that it's kind of insulting. And I'm like, and I feel bad because that's why I'm always like, if there's engineers, I'm going to come in and deal with the engineers. Why? Because I'm going to try to speak to their level and make sure that when they're speaking to me, if I have a question, I can ask them point blank, okay, run this through for me. When I'm sitting with a board member, this, because I know enough about building to understand exactly what they're saying when they're talking to me about different things that they want to do. It's not very often that I have to be like, I don't understand. A lot of times I'm just like, let me regurgitate what you've just said to make sure I get it right so that when I go to my client or go to the contractor, that everybody is on the same page. So that's something that I like to do with people that are consultants. So like lawyers and whatnot. But lawyers will usually write their own stuff because I'm like, I'm not touching that. I ain't no lawyer. But engineers and stuff, I'm like, I want to make sure that when I go back to my client, I'm regurgitating this correctly. And I think that's the best thing you can do, is to make sure that you are doing things efficiently, because efficiency is so huge in this world. And so that's where I can come into my next topic when we talk about efficiency and communications and all of that. I was reading something online, and I don't know how I feel about it. I'm kind of indifferent. So we've got a lot of AI going on in the world, and a lot of us business owners are jumping on this AI train where it's making our jobs and our lives so much easier. Especially someone like me who is what we call a one of one, right? And I actually love my job, and I'm super particular about how it gets done. And I don't know if I can trust, I have trust issues. I don't know if I can trust someone to give the quality of service with the background and education of what we're dealing with. Okay. So I've gone out and got so many certifications and designations that I've taken the time to listen, understand, and know. Do I know everything? Absolutely not. I'm still learning every single day, whether I'm on site with an engineer, a restoration team, a construction guy, roads. I'm learning every single day. I do not claim to know everything about everything, but I know a lot about a lot. So that's that. But now with that being said, when we're communicating with this AI, and I find that it's interesting. I've been talking to people and they're like, I got an email today, and I'm like, and I needed 5 minutes. Like I went into I hyperventilated. I thought I was going to get fired. And I'm like, well, what does the email say? And they read the email, and I'm like, why are you freaking out? Like, they're just being very clear and concise and to the point. They want to have a meeting. Here's the talking points. This basically sounds like they want to have a conversation with you in regards to a performance review, and that they're noting some things that they want to help understand what's going on in your world so that they don't chastise you incorrectly, and so that they can get a better understanding. This is actually a really great email from your management team. Why are you having a shit fit? And they're like, well, I think I'm going to get fired. And I'm like, oh my God. And I'm like, what is happening to the world where people think there's so much anxiety about, and everyone says, business is cold. Email has no tone. We need it to have fucking tone nowadays, because people are so emotionally driven that it's like, you put the LOLs to soften it, or the LMAO, or, all these little acronyms, because we do have a generation behind us that speaks mostly in acronym and emoji. So you put little emojis like, hey, I need to talk to you about this, smiley face. Because what happens when people say, hey, we need to have a conversation about this, most people immediately go to the negative and they catastrophize and they go through their head and they're overthinking, oh my God, what could we possibly have to talk about, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, calm down. We need to talk, smiley face, see you Thursday. Look forward to seeing you. You've been doing great all week. We need to expand our communication. And so when I put out posts and whatnot, and I put emojis, I've never been a big emoji person, but I find I need to cater to what the world is now, and so I wrote into this post because the person that put the post about talking about AI and emojis and, equating to trustworthiness, and I adore her. I have a lot of respect for her. And so I'm like, I don't necessarily disagree. I come from a generation where what you see is what you get kind of thing, right? So it's like, I need to talk to you. They need to talk to you. Don't put anything more into it. Go and find out. Go have the conversation and find out. We're kind of in a society where people are not really big on surprises. There was a time when people were all about being spontaneous and being all about surprising and this and that. But now that kind of looks different. It's like, surprise, we're going on a trip. And it's like, oh my God, that's so great. And all the dopamine levels are going up and everyone's so happy. But if you're like, surprise, we need to have a conversation, like, oh shit. And then everyone freaks out. And it's like, most people will say, well, yeah, but Lisa, most of the time when someone says I got to talk or we need to have a conversation, it's usually bad. And I'm like, in your perspective, things are only bad based on how you allow that conversation to go. You are in control of yourself. If someone has something to talk to you about that appears negative on the surface, it's not negative. It's educating you on how they're feeling, how they're perceiving the communication, and how they're, and how they want, or how they want a solution, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So when someone is telling you, I need to talk, I'm feeling this way, this is what's happening, this is what I'm noticing, that's their perspective. That's their reality. So you have two choices: get defensive and pissed off and be anxiety ridden, or educate them. Oh, that wasn't my intention. Actually, this, and this. Because the best thing we can do is communicate with each other outside of a phone or a device, so that you can see my face, you can see my expressions, you can see how my body language, because that's all communication. Verbal and nonverbal communication and cues are huge. And that's getting lost in our reality now. A lot of people don't, when someone's like, I find there's people that are so socially inept that I'll say something and they keep talking. And I'm like, no, we're done. Like, stop talking. I said bye 3 times. And so a lot of people will say to me, like, Lisa, you hung up on me. And I'm like, yeah, I don't do long goodbyes. Because I do. I'm like, okay, have a great day. Talk to you later. Bye. Click. And that's it. I can't do the circle buys. Okay, well, yeah. Oh, yeah. And by the way, and the next week. And then, and I'm like, no. I said bye. We wrapped this call up. There was a beginning, a middle, and an end. And at that end, there was a conclusion, which means I said, okay, it was really great talking to you. Have a great week. And you took my communication and said, yeah, you too. Sounds great. Bye. So that's just how I look at it. So I think that we all need to just take a minute and realize that the government is the devil, no matter what level. Just saying, that's fun for me. And that we all need to band together and stop making everything fucking political. If someone has a problem, like this is something I'm paying attention to on Facebook, like in my Facebook groups for city, someone has a problem with something fucking random and someone's like, oh, fucking libtard, oh, fucking conservative. And I'm like, can you all just calm down? Why is this being made political? Like, people are people. Inherently, people are stupid on some level. All of us are on some level. If we don't know the topic or we don't understand the topic, we're going to do one of two things. We're going to act like we fucking know, or we're just going to gracefully bow out and say, I don't know. Those are the two that's it. That's what you're going to get. You're going to get the people that try to fucking say something, or the people that just don't. But then you also have the people that know, and they're going to educate you. So I always find it interesting that everybody nowadays takes things so fucking literal and then wants to attack it with political comments. Like, a lot of people do. Not everybody, I shouldn't say everybody. A lot of people do. Please fucking quit doing that. Like, we're all people, and what makes us great about being Canadian is that I am liberal, and I speak to so many people that are conservative, and they're so, like, blown away that I'm liberal. They're like, you're liberal? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, but you don't act liberal. And I'm like, because I'm not a fucking left-wing crazy lunatic, and you're not a right-wing crazy lunatic. We are centered thinking individuals. That's all there is to it. I'm not against some of the things that the conservatives bring forward, and I'm sure you're not against some of the things the liberals bring forward. But there are items where we can both just sit there and go, yeah, that sounds kind of batshit crazy. On either side, I can look at my side as a liberal and be like, that's a little batshit crazy. Maybe you need to calm that down. And I can do the same thing for the conservatives. Like, right now I live in a very conservative province, so I got a lot of crazy shit to say. I mean, like, have you met our premier? Like, a lady knows when to gracefully bow out. So clearly she ain't no lady. She should have bowed out a long time ago. But anyways, I digress. So if you're a condo, get a professional. There's a few of us out there. Get a professional, at least to come out and talk to you about what's going on your property and things that you can do. Is there a cost for it? Yes, we're consultants. We're not contractors. We're not doing the work. We're giving you advice of how to move forward with the work and who you can probably bring in. So get a consultant to talk to you about things. Make sure you're holding your municipalities and government to task. If they're the ones holding you to task on something, make sure you hold them to task on anything that comes your way, because as a result of what's happening. And, make sure you have a voice and say what you want to say. Don't forget the percentage of crazy people is a lot smaller. They're just louder, but they're smaller. in groups and masses, we are more centered thinking. We are more about what's right for us, for our children, for our children's children, and how that's going to look moving forward. So just stay united. Stop dividing yourselves crazily, because like I said, the crazy are few and far between. They're just loud. Yeah, meh. Anyways, you guys have a wonderful week. And I'm sure I'll have another tangent in like the next week or two. So as always, don't do anything crazy.